Welcome everyone to the Two Guys in a Cooler channel. My name's Eric. Thanks for joining me on this episode. Today we're going to be making authentic Cajun smoked boudin as well as boudin balls. And I'm going to share with you my personal recipe so you can go out there and feel confident about making this fine Louisiana delicatessen. Boudin is single-handedly the most popular sausage between Lake Charles and Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Let's get started. We're going to start off with some Boston butt. Season it with some Creole seasoning generously, stick it in a vacuum seal bag or a Ziploc bag, put it in the fridge overnight. The next day, we're going to go ahead and heat up some oil on a skillet, and I'm going to sear both sides of that Boston butt. I want to make sure I get some nice browning, a little bit of that gratin right there in that skillet, and then once it's seared, now we're not cooking it, we're just giving it some color, we're going to go ahead and put it in a slow cooker. You could put it in a pot, it doesn't really matter. And once you do that, we're going to go ahead and cook the trinity, which is the onions, bell pepper, and celery. Cook that in the same skillet that you browned your Boston butt in. Add a little bit of salt. That's going to draw some moisture out. Once it starts to soften, go ahead and add your green onions and your garlic. While that's cooking, we're now going to prepare the ingredient that makes boudin boudin, which is liver. Typically, pork liver is used, but depending on how intense you want your boudin, you may want to use chicken liver, which is a little more mild. I like to soak my liver in some water for about 2 hours, dice it up really well, and then go ahead and add it to my vegetables. That helps clean out the liver a little bit before you cook it. We're going to cook our liver with our vegetables on about a medium heat for really only a few minutes. We don't want to cook it too long. This is going to continue to finish cooking in our slow cooker. So once you have all your vegetables and your liver done, go ahead and transfer that to the pot that you have your Boston butt in, and we're going to go ahead and add the rest of the ingredients. Now, what I like to do to just give it a whole lot of flavor is to add some chicken bouillon cubes to your mix right here. Most people are just going to add water, but if you add chicken stock or vegetable broth, it's really going to boost the flavor. At this point, we're going to go ahead and add the rest of the ingredients. I like to have mine a little spicy. We're going to kick it up with some cayenne pepper, mix that really well to combine. Put it on low and cover it. And we're going to let this cook until our Boston butt is fall apart tender. This can take anywhere between 3 to 4 hours depending on how high you have your heat, but you definitely want to cook it low and slow. Once your Boston butt is fall apart tender, you're going to want to separate the liquid from the meat and the vegetable. So all we're doing here is we're going to put that into a strainer, and this is also going to give us an opportunity to debone it if there were any bones in that pork shoulder. By now, your kitchen should be smelling like just about any kitchen in South Louisiana, and be sure to give that pork a taste because it's absolutely delicious. Finally, you're going to want to run all of that through the grinder. So run your vegetables and your meat through the grinder. Once you have it all ground up, set it to the side because now we need to prepare the rice. To prepare the rice, all you need to do is bring your water to a boil, add your washed rice to that water, give it a stir, and once that water comes back to a low simmer, go ahead and cover it and bring it to the lowest possible setting on your fire for 13 minutes. After about 13 minutes, your rice should be perfectly cooked, fluffy, tender. Go ahead and leave it uncovered because we're about to use it. Let's go ahead and chop up the rest of our green onions and get our parsley together because that's the final two ingredients that we're going to add to our boudin mix. And she's going to bring it all the way home. So here we go. In a large bowl, add your rice. The amount of rice that you add is a personal preference. A lot of people like a 50-50 blend between meat and rice, but if you want to go heavier on the meat, go for it. Add your green onions and your parsley, mix all of those together, and this is where it gets a little tricky when it comes to making boudin. At this stage, we're going to go ahead and add back in some of that reserve stock that we were cooking our Boston butt in. You don't want to add too much at a time, so begin by adding a half a cup at a time and add it until your mixture becomes just slightly sticky. You don't want it soggy, you don't want it dripping wet, and so you want to make sure that you really monitor how much liquid you add to this mix. This is also going to be the step in which you get to adjust for seasoning, so as soon as your mix gets well incorporated, go ahead and give it a taste. Check for salt, black pepper, maybe even a little extra cayenne pepper. This is the time to do it. What we're going to do here first is I'm going to make some boudin balls, and all we're going to do to make boudin balls is we're going to take a little handful, roll it into a ball. It should be sticky, so it should form together well. I'm going to dip it in some flour. From the flour, I'm going to go ahead and dip it into an egg mixture, and it's just literally an egg that's been whisked together. And then finally, I'm going to put it in some panko breadcrumbs. On the stovetop, I've got some oil that's heated up to about 350 degrees, and I'm going to go ahead and fry those boudin balls until the outer shell is golden brown. This process only takes a few minutes at a 350 degree heat, and this is what they should look like as you're pulling them out. They are absolutely amazing. Boudin balls freeze incredibly well. They're easy to make. You can make a whole lot of them. And if you don't have casings or if you don't have a sausage stuffer, they're a great way to enjoy boudin without putting them in links. But let's go ahead and finish the process, as I'm going to show you how we smoke our boudin. This is typically the way you're going to find boudin in Louisiana, which is in sausage links, either smoked or unsmoked. To do this, we're going to prepare our sausage stuffer. We're going to go ahead and get our casings lined up and begin the process of making and forming our boudin links. All right, now that the links have been formed, it's time to smoke this boudin. We're going to get that smoker cranked into about 200, 225 degrees. A little bit of pecan, a little bit of hickory. We're going to smoke these for about an hour. And then after about an hour, hour and a half, I'm going to brush the outside of the boudin links with some olive oil. This is going to help crisp up the skin so that you get a really nice bite when you bite into that boudin. Now, we're going to continue smoking these for about another 2 hours. And once they have been properly smoked, we're going to go ahead and take them out of there, let them cool down a little bit, because our boudin is officially done. Smoking boudin just really elevates the flavor, but it's not necessary. So if you don't have a smoker, or if you just prefer plain boudin, once you're done linking it up, you can go ahead and freeze it and store it for long-term storage. They freeze beautifully. At this point, I'm just going to go ahead and separate all the links and get it ready. Enjoy this Cajun sausage for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, just like we do in South Louisiana. If you have any questions on how to make this Louisiana sausage, leave me a comment in the comment section below. I hope you get a chance to make it, and if you do, let me know what you thought. Thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to share it. If you're new here, consider subscribing, clicking that notification bell, and stick around. We have got some awesome, fresh content lined up for you in the next few episodes. Thanks a lot. See you next week.